Today, Liss and I are going to round out our series on trauma responses, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. You might want to go back and watch the other three if you haven't already. Maybe you can just jump right in here and really relate to what we have to offer. Today, we are going to explore the fawn response to some kind of threat or some kind of trauma, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or sometimes spiritual.
Hi, and welcome to Light for Life. If you are returning to our channel, thank you. We value and appreciate you. If you are new here, you are most welcome. I am Liz. I'm a science of mind practitioner and a teacher of various healing modalities applicable to all aspects of the self and this life.
And I am Lori. I am a holistic wellness researcher and educator. Welcome to Connections with Liss and Lori. Well, I actually don't really know what to say about fawn, so I'm just going to turn this one over to Liss and we'll take it from there.
Thank you, honey. Yeah, you're not the only one. There's actually very little that is known about the fawn response. It is the newest and the latest understanding in terms of the trauma responses. For many, many years, it was thought that there are only fight or flight. And then years later, the freeze response was added as well. And very, very recently, the fawn response was added. It was first documented by a psychologist called Paul Walker. He wrote a book on it.
Mm.
And essentially, it came from looking at animals
Yeah,
and what they do in the wild under threat.
yeah.
And obviously, it was noted that some animals fight, some animals flee, some animals freeze. But then the scientists got interested about the phenomena that takes place when the animal vomits or
Mm,
soils itself. Like, is that actually just fear or is something else going on here?
mm, mm.
And what they figured out, as disgusting as it is, what they figured out was that that was actually an offering. The bodily fluids were being presented to the predator as an offering instead of the self. So
Wow,
here you go, have this of me instead of all of me.
wow,
The fawn response was the sacrifice of a gift. And so
wow.
the way that that plays out for those of us with a very exaggerated fawn response, and I'll put my hand up for this one, um, in a personality style is that of the people pleaser.
Mhm.
The person who lives for everybody else, who cannot
Yeah,
feel safe unless everybody else is happy, who's
yeah,
always taking care of everyone else's needs and everybody else's wants and everybody else's demands long before their own. Very often this is packaged as being unselfish or being an empath and all these other lovely sounding things, where in fact it is people pleasing, very often in its most toxic form, which is codependency.
mhm.
And codependency, I personally despise the term. It is so deceptive of a term in terms of what it actually is.
Yeah,
But codependency is the inability to depend on anyone else. Codependency is this idea that is internalized that I can only count on me. Everybody else is threatening. Everybody else is unstable. Everybody else is dishonest and unreliable. I can only count on myself. So myself becomes responsible for everybody else. Their state of being, their happiness, their stability becomes my job. I take that on. So it is the false peacekeeper. It is the person who's constantly mediating and moderating and placating. The one who's always trying to put the fires out, even for false peace sake. That is the fawn response. So
wow.
what is the sacrifice in life?
Hmm.
The sacrifice is the self.
Yeah, yeah.
We're never expressing any kind of true or authentic self. We're not living our own lives. We spend literally every waking minute of our day fawning to the needs of others in order to feel safe.
So that's what it's called.
Yeah.
I am really familiar with that, all of that. I didn't realize that that's what they're seeing as fawning. And ouch.
Oh, sorry.
It's true though. I can probably name hundreds of women that I'm just thinking of right now that do that whole put themselves aside completely in order to serve others. And in the process, they've lost themselves. How many women do you know that become empty nesters and they don't know who they are anymore? They don't know what their purpose in life is. They don't even know what makes them happy because they have spent so many years ignoring the self and they're lost. I can relate to that to some extent. And it was really eye-opening for me to see how much of myself I put on the back burner in order to serve everyone in my life. Because when everybody else is happy, then I can be okay. When everybody else is okay, then I can be okay. And I feel like this is very, very, very common for women. I'm not saying it's not common for some men too. I'm just saying I think as caregivers, we tend to take that much too far. There's being a giving person, and then there's giving yourself away. And it sounds like to me what you're saying is when we're in that fawn response, we are constantly giving ourselves away until a lot of times there's nothing left for us to the point where we don't even know who us is anymore. So I
Yes.
really hope this lands on some ears that might really need to hear this might be you. Maybe take a look because you might want to reel that in a little bit and start reclaiming yourself a little bit and start showing up for yourself a little bit and then a little bit more and then a little bit more.
Yeah, because you see, honey, we have to get honest about what the really toxic little tail of this actually is. We have to get honest about that because this can look like self-sacrifice and very often is. This can look like love and nurturing and very often is. It's actually profoundly dishonest at its heart because we're able to make it virtuous. So we don't tell ourselves the truth.
Yeah.
I'm not just doing this because of love. I'm not just doing this because I care so much. I'm not just doing this because I'm a nurturer. I'm doing this because it's the only way I feel okay.
Yes.
At its heart, this is profoundly selfish. In spite of how it looks, all my service and giving to everybody else. To get truly honest with ourselves, to recognize I am doing this for my own selfish ends. And it's actually detrimental because I could meet my own needs in much healthier and much better ways
Yeah.
that don't disconnect me from who I actually am. But you see, in order to do that, I would have to risk looking a wee bit selfish.
Yeah.
And if I look a wee bit selfish, maybe I'm not safe.
Yes. Yes.
Hence, why this is a trauma response. Because
Yes.
it's what we are doing to ensure our own safety as
Yes.
best we can.
Yes. Yes. And if you don't give yourself permission to be a little selfish at first, I don't know, and maybe you do, but I don't know how to effectively move from that into being the more authentic self. Because it was, for me, it was a place of feeling very selfish. And a dear friend of mine said, "You've been giving yourself away your entire life. Can you take a month to be a little selfish?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, you know what? I can." I can do a month. And it was just enough for me to get a taste of what it looks like outside of trauma to just show up for me and what it really looks like to show up for other people when I know how to show up for me. It's a completely different look. It's a
Oh, yes.
completely different world when you
Hmm.
understand how to really be present for yourself and how to really show up for yourself. It's not selfish. It's not
No.
selfish at all. You think it is in the beginning because you've never done it before. But the truth
True.
is that it really shows you how to be fully present in any moment, regardless of who might cross your path and need your support, because you can learn how to support so many different people in so many different ways when that conscious programming isn't running in the background. Keep me safe, keep me safe, keep me safe.
Exactly. Exactly, honey. That's the irony of it.
Yes.
When we allow ourselves to be uncomfortable with being a wee bit selfish or with what feels like or seems like being a wee bit selfish, then we realize that it was actually all our giving that was the selfish thing to do.
Mhm.
Because you see, when I am fulfilled, when I'm expressing my true self, when I'm genuinely happy,
Yeah.
I have so much more high quality giving to
Yes.
do for the people that I love.
Yes.
I'm there with a higher vibration of energy. I'm there with more life. I'm there as more me.
Yes.
And so I have so much more to give to those I love. Instead of gifting them with the servant and the martyr and the hard done by one who does so much sacrificing. I mean, place yourself in the shoes of those beloved ones for just a minute,
Mhm.
none of whom want that. None
Right.
of them want the woman or the mother that they love sacrificing herself, playing the martyr, being unhappy for them. That's not love.
Right.
That's not love. Again, that is the outworking of a trauma response.
Yeah.
So we truly do love others best in exact proportion to how much we've learned to love ourselves
Yeah.
well and properly.
And the flip side of that would be when we're giving, 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 there is burnout. There is
Hmm?
overwhelm. There is exhaustion. There is a lot of times illness, a lot of times fatigue, and uh, a lot of times crashes. You know, we crash energetically, we crash physically. Sometimes we break an ankle to slow us down because we're giving, 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 giving to the point of depletion. And then we have to rebound. And then we deplete ourselves again. And then we have to rebound and we deplete ourselves again. And it's the cycle of self-destruction, in my opinion, a cycle of
Yes.
self-destruction that ultimately will probably leave a lot of us very sick. And then we can't give to anyone at all. And what a beautiful gift that we could give if, you know, if you have children or, you know, if you have other people in your life that you might have influence over. What a beautiful gift to give them to demonstrate not working yourself to the point of total exhaustion because you're running from trauma and
Mm-hmm.
demonstrating what it looks like to take really good care of yourself. So, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, we're coming from a place that is so peaceful and so joyous that there is an abundant flow of that peace and that joy that we can effortlessly share with others rather than so much effort being put into sacrificing the self to make sure that everybody is okay so we can feel okay.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I can really personally speak to this in the sense of when we don't do that, Look at what we put those who love us through.
Yeah.
Because when we burn out, when we become ill, when we're overwhelmed, who picks that up?
Yeah.
Who has to deal with that?
Yeah.
Who now has the spouse who is ill or the mom who is ill? And now they have to go through that stress and that worry and that heartbreak. And we get to feel all virtuous about it because, and as someone who has been in the course of my life extremely physically sick,
Yeah.
very, very often because of really extreme trauma,
Yeah.
I get to say that because I know that that is what I have put the people who love me through. Not intentionally,
Right.
not consciously, not on purpose, but loving me has been a hell ride for the people who do. And that's not fair. So learning to love myself,
Yeah.
learning to take care of myself is the antithesis of selfish.
Yeah.
It's the best thing I can do for the people who love me. It should take well enough care of myself that I'm still here for them, first of all. And secondly, to never have to put them through that again.
Right.
Because nobody wants to have to deal with loving someone who's always ill.
Mhm.
How is that fair to anyone?
Yeah.
So self-love is so critical, honey, to absolutely everything. Literally, absolutely everything. It's the core of everything we say here for a very good reason,
Mhm.
because it is so, so essential. And I never knew how to love myself. I didn't have the foggiest idea how to even begin.
Yeah.
I've had to learn. And if I say so myself, I've become pretty good at it.
You have. You have. And I felt the same way. And, someone pointed out to me many years ago, your vital energy is very low. Do you even love yourself? And I was like, no. I had such a poor self outlook. I was in such a low place. Loving myself was not even really on my list. And
Hmm.
like you said, it's a journey. To overuse that word, it's a journey to recognize how damaging it can be to your body, to your emotions, to your mental state, to your spiritual state, when you don't even know how to love yourself. And the damage that it can do to your cells and to your health and to your vitality and to everything as an extension, your work, your relationships, your family. It's very selfish not to love yourself.
How many people will say that they don't know how to love themselves?
Mhm.
They have no idea how to do that.
I
And
agree.
that's also just nonsense. Because usually the people who say they don't know how to love themselves are really, really good at loving others.
Mhm.
They love others really, really well, albeit somewhat toxically. They love others really, really well. So it's as simple as learning how to do that for the self.
Yeah.
As considerate as you are of other people's needs and their feelings and their state and their emotion, start showing some of that consideration to yourself. As giving and sacrificial and generous and kind and considerate as you are to others, start giving a little bit of that to yourself. Even if you start out with 2 minutes of day of let me think about myself. How am I? How could I be considerate to myself today? How could I be kind to myself today? How could I be generous to myself today? How could I give to myself today? Just 2 minutes. Let's start out with baby steps and then actually do that. But no one on earth doesn't know how to love themselves. We all do. We just don't do it.
If I loved myself, what would that look like right now in this moment? Thank you for connecting with Light for Life. Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you would like to work with one of us, you can find our contact information in the About section.
Please share your insights, your questions, and your comments with us. We value your feedback. And we really hope that we will see you for our next episode. We upload one every Thursday.
Until we connect again, we send you love and light.